सो आप सभी का स्वागत है. वेलकम टू द वेरी फर्स्ट एपिसोड of Conversations on Life, and today I'm here in conversation with Kriti. और हमारा जो आज का विषय है वो है कि अगर आपको मौका मिले कि आप पास्ट में जाकर अपने आप को मिल सके, स्वयं से मिल सके, तो आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे? कॉम्प्लीमेंट देना चाहेंगे, कुछ समझाना चाहेंगे, एडवाइस देना चाहेंगे, डांटना चाहेंगे? So if you were to meet your younger self, what would you like to tell them? So that is the topic for today. And so allow me to welcome you, Kriti. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. So good to see you.
So experience is, innocence is beautiful, but then experience is real. So समय के साथ हम बदल जाते हैं, and a lot of things हमें ऐसा लगता है कि काश ऐसा किया होता, but it's not always about regret. Sometimes we look back with pride. Sometimes we look back with regret. So there are a lot of emotions when we look back. और जब हमें लगता है कि हमने ये किया वो किया, so बहुत सारे इमोशंस होते हैं. So I would like to hear from you कि अगर तुम्हें ये मौका मिले कि वापस जाकर टाइम में if you were to meet your younger self, so what would you like to tell her, that beautiful girl with whom I met?
That's so kind of you. If I were to go back in time and meet my younger self, I will have a heart-to-heart conversation. I'll tell her, do this. This is good. Don't do this. This is not good. So there are so many things, right? I mean, with life, as you rightly said, experience teaches you so many things that you realize that, I wish I knew this better, or I wish I knew this earlier. Yeah, fair. You don't wish anything like that. Over the course of time, you realize, wow, this is a good finding. If I had to, I mean, there are lots of things that I would like to tell myself, but if I had to pick like top three, I would probably start with, believe it or not, but someday you're going to be very grateful for not being careless with your words. That's one thing that I would tell myself. I don't think I realized it as much back then, as much as I've realized it now. So yeah.
Yes, that's, I think हम सबको ऐसा लगता है कहीं ना कहीं at some point of life we all, I think we all go through this emotion जहाँ पे हमें ऐसा लगता है कि words are, हम ऐसा पढ़ते भी हैं कि words are a very important tool. जितना ज़्यादा the way we express ourselves, that's the most important thing, I think. And the way we carry ourselves, the language, the body language, what we said, what we didn't say. Words which we spoke and also words we couldn't speak. I think both are equally important. Yes. So yes. So would you like to explain little? I mean, कुछ ऐसा है जो तुमने regret or?
I think sorry, in my context,
I'm just stuck with this word regret. It's not that I am in this constant state of regret. No. But yes, there are times when we realize that, we regret saying that. So
I think in my context, it's more like you know me already. You know this about me, and probably everybody who knows a little about me knows that I'm kind of a straightforward person, right? So I've always known that about myself. But जब आप young होते हैं, you sort of understand it only in one way. And for some reason, there's a little slightly negative connotation to it. People think, oh, she's too direct, right? I mean, she's going to say exactly what she sees. That's the way you seem to define straightforwardness or being direct. But then at the same time, it's not just about that. I think I learned this with maturity, that it's not just about calling a spade a spade. It's actually about keeping it real. So what that means is that, while you will say what you see, you're not going to say what you don't mean. That also applies equally. So that is something that I realized. And with some of the experiences with so many things, I mean, with life in general, I saw that sometimes we don't realize that Newton's third law of, every action having an equal and opposite reaction applies to our tongue also. क्योंकि हम कहीं ना कहीं पे ये सोचते हैं कि with our actions, we are very clear, right? I mean, it's a good thing, it's not a good thing. I should not do kuch bure karm hame nahi karne chahiye, kuch achhe karm hame karne chahiye. So that all we are very clear about it, but somehow I feel that we're not as clear about it when we, when we think about our words or what we speak, right? Because we need to somehow, I think, at least I've seen that somehow we conveniently just forget that वाणी का कर्म ही बोलना है. So, all your rules of cause and effect are going to apply to what you're going to say. For example, I'll give you a very simple example to explain this. I mean, we all know that we should not hurt someone for our own benefits. Now, that is very clearly defined in our books that it should not be, it's a bad karma. You should not do this. But do we think twice before we, do the same thing through our words? So for me, I just saw that, you're effectively reaching the same end result just through a different route. So somehow I see that we don't apply this to our spoken language. We don't do that. And we're not very clear that this cause and effect is going to apply to what we are speaking, what current we are doing through our words. And somehow, in some way, at some time, an equivalent response of it is going to come to us. It is very much our actions. So I don't think I knew all of this in this much of detail and this much of clarity back then, that our words and whatever we say should be as true and as good as our actions should be. But I think I'm just grateful, I never was a careless speaker. I still am not. But I think I've been in some situations where I see people are really careless. And nowadays it's encouraged, like, just say what works for you at that point in time. But I don't think so. I really think you have to assess the impact of it, because ultimately it's something that you're sowing and you're going to reap it at the end of the day.
कहते भी है ना, ऐसी वाणी बोलिए मन का आपा खोए और इनको शीतल करे आपो शीतल. एक्चुअली मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हम सीरियसली नहीं लेते हैं अपनी वाणी को. वी डोंट टेक इट सीरियसली. बोला ही ना, किया तो कुछ नहीं ना. वी ऑफन थिंक लाइक दैट, अरे क्या हुआ यार, बस बोला ही तो है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं ना. वी हैवंट डन एनीथिंग, वी जस्ट सेड इट. बट द पॉइंट इज दैट बस जब आपने बोला तभी देयर इज अ पार्ट ऑफ एक्शन which is there. You already put it there.
You've already done it. You're probably not seeing it, but you've already done it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very important for me. Like agar mujhse puchoge to it's like it's both ways. There were times when I wanted to speak, but then I did not, and I regret. My regret comes from that place where I should have spoken, but I did not. And yeah, and at times I should not have spoken those words, and I regret those words. I mean, I just feel that I should have thought twice. That's it. मुझे तब भी ये पता था कि मुझे नहीं बोलना चाहिए. This is not good. It was not that I wasn't aware of that, but मुझे ऐसा लगा कि the same thing which you said, we don't take it seriously, like enough. It's okay, बोला ही तो है ना, किया तो नहीं ना. वो चीज हम जिस वो स्टेट से जहाँ इस सोच से आते हैं कि बोलने से क्या होता है, बोलने से बहुत नुकसान होता है. And yes, so words are very important. I do agree, it's a very important thing. I think when we are at the receiving end of it, जब हमसे कोई कुछ बुरा बोल जाता है, then we realize कि हमें, और ये उम्र के साथ, I think with time, with age, that kind of understanding comes कि हम यूँ बैठते हैं, सोचते हैं कि हमने भी तो कभी ऐसा किया होगा, हमने भी कुछ बोला होगा शायद, या फिर that kind of, maybe not for you as you said, but yes, yeah, so so yeah, that's a very valid point. And yes, अगर मुझे भी मौका मिले तो बहुत बार तो मैं वापस जाऊंगी, बोली यार चुप कर, ये सब बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है, जस्ट शट योर और बहुत कुछ बोल दे यार, इतना मतलब चुप रहने से कोई फायदा नहीं है. So yes, what else?
What else? If there is, so I'm just sharing you though with you, you know, those priceless things that I've learned right now. Okay, I mean, with my age, of course. There is something. It's very interesting. There is something that I learned about love also, because I was totally ignorant about this topic back then. I also learned, and I would tell the younger me that you know, you are going to
Kriti,
find.
sorry to interrupt. Could you speak little louder or
Okay.
like it?
So I would also tell my younger self that you are finally going to understand love. So just be happy, and you will realize that, you know, love is not just, it's not just a feeling. Yeah, I mean, it's a choice, right? And I'll tell you why. The context behind it is because again, I mean, you know, hum log sometimes we are very focused on learning, and in fact, majority of the times we are very focused on learning things externally. जो हमें नहीं पता है वो हम बाहर से पढ़ने की कोशिश करते हैं, समझते हैं, and you know, we learn through others' experience also. But then there is lots that's within us which we don't realize. I mean, that's literally just a discovery waiting to happen, right? So the day you get to know that part about you, you sort of have another learning. That's just to be done internally. So the way I've always been, and I still am, I've been a decision maker. I've always been somebody who makes my choices, and I stand by them, right? I mean, a choice could be, you know, I want this, or I'm going to allow this in my life. And a choice could also be that I don't want this, I'm going to cut this off. But then I've always been someone who stood by those choices. So I never realized this because this was my second nature, right? So you don't realize those things which are you as much until you get to a situation where you say, okay, I don't see that, right? I mean, sometimes you realize, but I did this right, and then you realize, okay, probably it is that way. So I mean, to simplify it, basically मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं that because this is such a strong emotion, right? I mean, love is quite complex to explain because it's something that either you are in it and then you get it, or otherwise you can't explain like that. You can't write it in words and define it in words. But and also because the intensity of this feeling is so high, it's so overwhelming that हमें कहीं ना कहीं लगता है that, you know, it's this feeling that we feel. It's just this, I feel such and such, and so I think I'm in love. But I don't think so. I think it also has, along with your heart, it also has your mind kicking in, right? Your mind stepping up and you're choosing those things. And until you've made those choice, I really don't think that, you know, it's the circle complete and you can say it's love. So I think that's something that I learned. I mean, through some of the experiences of my friends, and then also through a lot of things that I saw, I realized that I don't think it's just the correct way to say, you know, it's just feeling. I really don't think so. And it all makes sense if you think about it, because it is quite a supreme and a definite emotion, right? We go on to say that either there is love or there is lack of it. There's nothing else. So अगर कोई चीज इतनी complete है तो मुझे लगता है कि at least in terms of human beings, it will have to have your mind and your heart involved, because we are both. We're not just one. That's a lot. You know, that's a very deep conversation.
Yeah. See, yeah, of course, and I totally agree, and I think I can understand from where it is coming from. The thing is that I think love की जो है वो different stages होते हैं. When you are in love, there are different stages of it. जब आप प्यार में होते हैं, so you know, step 1, step 2, step 3. How serious you are about it? Is it simply a fling or it's a time pass? You actually uh, or you are, you know, aware about your how strong your feeling is. And what you're saying is, I think that is, you know, adding this element of commitment or how serious you are about it. At times I think people you know, if it's just, you know, attraction maybe, or people consciously make this decision कि इसे बस बस ऐसे ही टाइम पास में ही ऐसा लेना है, and they're not serious about it. So stage 1 is that, you know, you have to decide how serious you are about it, and then कहाँ तक लेके जाना है. And I think when standing for your choice, you know, making a choice about it, doing things about it, standing by your choice, this all comes from, I think, that feeling, that emotion, that how serious you are about it. what is your priority, क्या जगह है, I mean, in your life, love, प्यार की जो जगह है वो कितनी important है. And I think when you decide on that, कि ये मेरे लिए कितनी अहम बात है या फिर कितना important है, I think all these emotions, I think, come from there. That feeling of seriousness. That I think मुझे लगता है ये जो realization होता है कि I have to stand for it because this is something which I want. So that is making a choice, right? That this is something which I really want in my life, and I have to do something. Like it's like changing your feeling into actions. So you have to act upon.
And you do make those choices, right? I mean, when you say, you're right, there are probably stages to it. But then when you say that, you're at that final stage, you really love someone, you're going to declare that or feel that, I think you just sort of analyze it, you will think, and you will yourself find out that you are choosing that thing. It's as simple as, I love chocolates, but I never choose them. Then you don't love chocolates. It's as simple as that, right?
Yes.
And same thing applies to humans as well, because I've seen through so many friends, I mean, it's all about prioritizing, and they have these issues of prioritizing each other. You've got to choose them, and only then, if you are very clear about it, then you will not have such issues about prioritizing. So I mean, I'm not going to go and advise to anyone because I'm the last person to do that, but yes, I mean, at least in my books, I'm quite happy that I seem to have cracked the code.
Yes, exactly. I think मुझे ऐसा लगता है, if you ask about my experience about it, I would say कि at some point when you are in love, you don't know what to do with it. You are so overwhelmed with the emotion that you don't think about anything else. And you just think that, it is an organic process. प्यार तो बस हो रहा है. You don't have to do anything about it. You just, it will just अपने आप होता जाएगा. And the same thing we say about marriage also, right? That you have to work on it. Marriage means working on it. You have to work. Same thing I think applies with love also. You have to work on it.
Yeah.
You cannot say that, marriage is something on which you have to work, and love is something which is organic and it will just, bas ho jayega, even if you're not doing anything about it. So yeah, very
I
true.
really doubt anything happens on its own, Nidhi. It's a hard work.
Of course, if you have to make it work, you have to work on that. And organic is, I think, when it starts, it is organic, maybe not. I don't know, but then again, love is a very complicated topic, and everyone has a different interpretation, right?
Yeah.
So we can only talk about what we have understood, and yes, it's so yeah. And the point too was that love is. Could you please repeat it? It was very nicely framed. Yes.
I would just tell myself that it's not just a feeling, it's actually a choice.
Yes.
It's more than just a feeling.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, you said 3 things. So the last would be.
Third, I would just say about now all of these things, right? What I just told you, I would just say these are the things that I realized, I observed, I learned through the things that I have seen in my life. I've seen other people go through. They were not something that anybody told me, like, this is this way. And so these were really, it was when life actually decided to put on a teaching hat, right? So and that's exactly what I'll tell myself, that if, when life decides to be a teacher, the experience or the lesson is worth having. Reason because I think, I mean, the way I've been always, and a lot of us are, and so are you, I think, to an extent, is that we think about things, right? We are very thoughtful people. We do things properly. We think about things. We're not very careless and we're not very random. In the sense, I don't mean any offense to anybody, but then at the same time, I'm not over adventurous also, right? So I would think about things before I do things. And I'll also long-term think of the consequences of it. But then no matter how much you plan things, no matter how much you think about it mentally, life is actually a very active engagement. You know, living in itself is a very active engagement. You cannot at any point in time plan everything. So what that would mean is that because life just happens, right? It is something that happens to you. So then you are going to land in situations where it will seemingly look like you've not created this. It was nothing of your doing, and still you're there for some reason, right? So that's probably because you're there to, just to get some lesson out of it, or just to get some understanding out of it. I don't like calling it a lesson, because then it's like, oh my God, you go through a lot. And then, the upside of it is, well, you've got a lesson. It's not like that. It's just that it's really something that you're going to be ultimately grateful for. At least, I mean, look at me. I would tell my younger self that, look at me. There are lots of times that I've been in situations where I thought that I had planned it all. I thought that, this is totally out of my control. It's not my doing. I've got nothing to do in it. What's the bright side? But then you come out of it, and you realize certain things about yourself. You learn a couple of things that you probably didn't know, and you feel very, very grateful for having that knowledge now, right? You're still going to laugh. Still going to be very happy. So I would just tell myself at whatever age we're talking, that don't be afraid. The worst weakness that we would have is fear. Don't be afraid to live. Don't be afraid to have those experiences, because life is a very, very kind teacher. I mean, you are in good hands. We all are in good hands. And ultimately, with the experience, with the lesson, or with whatever you are going through, you are going to come out of it stronger, better, and happier. For sure, happier. Yes, that's the pep talk I'll do with myself.
And I think life is everything. Life is the classroom. Life is the teacher. Life itself is the syllabus, and life is the reward also. So I think that So all we can, it's and fear is something which actually puts a full stop to all these experiences, right? So if you are scared of it, you're not going to enjoy it. That's very obvious. डर क्या करता है हमारे साथ? डर की वजह से क्या होता है कि we start assuming things, that if you're going to do this, we're going to fail, and then we are in a constant state of sadness. We are always negative about it. And once you are not scared, once you are, I think, scared, or maybe once you are ready to face it, I think the courage, when the courage comes, I think everything becomes, I wouldn't say it becomes very beautiful, but yeah, it becomes easier to face the challenges. Same thing for me also. At times when I look back, I think, oh my God, इसमें डरने की क्या बात थी? I should have. It was a simple thing, यार. इतना डरने की क्या बात थी? क्या हो जाता है ठीक से? You should have tried, or maybe you should have just faced it, but escape नहीं करना था. At times when we are so scared that we avoid it. We try to escape it, or denial में चले जाते हैं. At times there are situations जब हम इतने ज़्यादा डरे होते हैं कि हम सामने जाते ही नहीं. It's about an interview maybe. I have avoided many interviews. Not many, but yeah, only because I was so scared, because I'm not going to perform well, or I'm not going to nail it, something. That fear of, and but then eventually, and then again it came to me, and I did very well. So yes, fear is something, and that I also learned it with the time. कैसे डरने से कुछ नहीं होता है, चलो करते रहना चाहिए, हो जाता है. It's like just face it. In fact, हमारे parents हमेशा ये कहते रहते हैं, face it, don't worry, it will be fine. But when they say it, अरे यार आपको क्या है, आपको तो हो गया है ना, you won't understand. Yeah, yes, but yes, and that is a change. And yes, that is what life is. I think the experience changes you, and you start talking like a parent, even if you're not. It's yeah, yeah. I mean, when you're speaking to, and I think because of my profession, I am like, when you are teaching, just a moment. So, when you are in this profession, जब आप पढ़ा रहे हो बच्चों को, so I see myself, every other day, when they're sitting in front of me, I think, it's me who is sitting there. And when they do things, and, I just want to tell them, guys, this is not what you should be doing. I have been there. So, and, I just want to tell them the way I want to tell myself, कि ये मत करो, ये मत बोलो, और ऐसे करो, ऐसे बोलो. So, but then again, you cannot tell it to them because they are not going to accept it until unless, they will be in a same situation like today we are. So, but मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि फिर yes, at the end of day, कुछ चीजें होती है वो जो उम्र के साथ ही समझ में आती हैं, एज के साथ ही आती हैं, and तभी समझ में आती है जब बीत चुका होता है. It's not that we learn from others.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, there are lots of things you won't believe. I mean, it's not just the serious things, even the funnier things, I mean, I would, in addition to all of the serious things that I would tell myself, I will tell myself that, your love for stuffed paratha is also true love. Mujhe with experience, I didn't know this before. So there are lots of things. Like I said, when you talk to your younger self, and if you could just go back in time, I think there is plenty to tell that person.
Yes, I would tell myself कि यार pastry जितनी खानी है खा लो, dinner में खा लो, lunch में, but brush करके सो. Otherwise, in your early 30s, you are going for a root canal. There is no other way.
It's painful.
Yeah. You remember that shop in MMV, that pastry shop in the middle of BHU, where we live?
Yeah.
I used to buy, I think 2 pastries every day, and then I had pastries for dinner. My roommates would know about this. And then, I'm struggling with it. So I want to go back and tell myself, yaar, kha lo yaar, jitna khana. No one's stopping you. Just brush your teeth. That's it. Because brush karke so, and then you 80 साल तक तुम खाते रहो, it will be fine. But then yes, of course, और भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, like you said, funny things, like थोड़े से, colorful कपड़े पहन लो, just get over with your obsession with all these, dull shades. मैंने तो बस cream color, all this light pink and all these things. There are lots of things, but yes, anything else you'd like to tell, on a lighter note?
Yeah, there are lots of things, but probably not fit for the conference that we're doing. I could tell you offline, but
Sure.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there is we could just chat away all night. We'll have lots to talk. So I think
there are so many things. Yes, and there are so many awkward things that when I think about those, I don't want to go back and meet myself at all. Bhai, tum jao, wahi raho. I don't want to see your face again. It's fine. It's over. That period is over now. We're in a good space.
You probably meet yourself and say, I'm so happy you're done. I'm so happy I outgrew you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but if we look back and we're doing good in our lives, and then if we look back, I think that sense of pride, comes. कि जो भी था जैसा भी था यार, हमने face किया, and the challenges were okay. I mean, we were able to, to understand life or to accept life as it was. So on that note, I would like to thank you for gracing the first episode of Conversations on Life. And we'll do this more. We'll talk about, let's just hope we'll talk more on life with you. And thank you so much for coming. And thank you so much, all of you, for watching. And thank you so much for giving a very good response to our teasers. Hope you'd like this as well. And please subscribe the channel. Please, yeah, that is a very important request I had to make. And thank you all. Stay tuned, and we'll meet soon.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.